Welcome back, Nerd Squad. We all get tempted by the dark side every now and then. In the world of superheroes, as much as we enjoy a good story where our favorite supers are fighting for justice, protecting the innocent, avenging those who cannot avenge themselves, we also enjoy when things get a little more twisty, turn a little more dark. Realities where maybe our favorite superheroes can't win as they are. Maybe they become corrupted or are forced to turn to the dark side. For every pristine, powerful, and noble alternative version we have for a superhero, there is an equal amount of dark ones to balance it out. The magic of storytelling, especially outside of the main continuity, is free to take you wherever you want to go. And the longer a character has been around, like Captain America, the more time that we have to explore every possible facet of the character through alternate storylines and realities. Captain America first appeared on the pages of a comic in 1941 with Timely Comics, before Timely transformed into Marvel. That's almost been 80 years worth of stories. And to honor that today, we are going to be exploring some of the darker Cap stories as we count down the top 10 scary Captain America alternative versions. And be sure to stick around till the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's take a walk on the darker, more horrific side. Be sure to dim the lights as we get counting. Number 10, Captain Venom. This version of Cap first appeared in Edge of Venomverse. He comes from Earth 17084, of which we know very little. This version of Steve Rogers finds himself bonded to the Venom symbiote and becomes one of the leaders of the Resistance. The Resistance was a group of symbiotes and hosts who aimed to take down the Poisons, who were traversing through the multiverse, absorbing symbiotes into their hive. Unfortunately, Captain Venom eventually ended up being captured and assimilated by the Poisons himself. Unfortunate because he was just so terrifying and cool looking. Number 9, SKRULL Captain America. This version of Cap isn't obviously really him, but a SKRULL imposter. The scariest thing about this version is that no one really seemed to pick up on the fact that it wasn't Steve Rogers at all. This SKRULL imposter is Pitt O'Neilly and is from the Avengers. This SKRULL imposter is Pitt O'Neilly and is from the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated series. And in fact, Cap wasn't impersonated only once in that series by a SKRULL, but twice. The SKRULL took Cap's place during the SKRULL invasion and would only end up being discovered by the other Avengers during their last stand against the SKRULLs, when it was kind of too late. Fortunately, the real Captain America later would manage to escape imprisonment and take down the SKRULL who was impersonating him. Number 8, Soldier Supreme. This alternate comes to us from the Warp world and poses the amalgamation of Dr. Stephen Strange and Captain America's Steve Rogers into one character, giving us Stephen Rogers, who signed up for the experimental super soldier project in World War II. But instead of it being a serum, the process to transform Stephen is actually revealed to be a mystical ritual, granting him both magical abilities as well as an enhanced, strengthened physiology. Number 7, Captain Apocalypse. In Age of X-Men, Apocalypse and the X-Tracks, Apocalypse and his team of mutants aim to rise up against X-Man Nate Gray's Utopia, where there is no love. They aim to teach the world to love again throughout this psychedelic short series. In issue number 4, Apocalypse Jr., his clone, who in this series is referred to actually as his son, also known as Genesis or Evan Sabanur, decides to take up the look of the champion Captain America. He even has an A on his helmet and his chest and his very own shield, with an A on it as well. Unfortunately, this look for Evan is only temporary, as he is defeated by Omega Red and returns to his original form, turning back into looking like a young little boy. Aww. Number 6, What If Age of Apocalypse. This version of Steve Rogers is the leader of the Defenders, the last standing heroic group against Apocalypse and his horsemen, who have seized control of the Earth and turned it into a wasteland of death, following the demise of both Magneto and Professor Xavier. This version of Cap looks like a tank. He is super jacked. Not that he's not normally super jacked, but he is big. He is much more determined and grim and fights with Wolverine at his side, armed with a chipped shield and Thor's hammer, in what appears to be a scaled armor version of his suit. He just looks frightening. Also, that whole alternate world seems terrifying. Number 5, CAPWOLF. This is both a terrifying and wacky alternate for Cap, truth be told. Both scary and silly all at once, this story is. Captain America ends up investigating a town in search for his friend John Jameson after he finds out from Wolverine that there apparently is a werewolf on the loose. Thinking that his pilot and friend may be plagued with more Wolfie and Moon Gem related problems, Cap hopes to find John and figure out just what is going on. During his exploits, he discovers that the people of the town are actually being forcibly transformed into werewolves with a serum. Although I'm sure he wasn't hoping for this revelation to be as hands-on as it is, as he ends up himself being exposed and transformed. Fortunately, due to also being exposed and transformed by the super soldier serum previously, he manages to get to keep his wits about him while he's in his werewolf form, and find himself not giving in to the more feral instincts of a standard werewolf. This story can be found starting in issue 402 of Captain America, and also includes a random Cable appearance, as well as some other mutants who are also lycanthropic, like Wolfsbane, and also has more than one fight happen between Cap and Wolverine. Number 4, Iron Man. During the series Bullet Points, we get to explore a world where Dr. Erskine was killed before Steve Rogers could ever become a super soldier or Captain America. Instead, this causes Rogers to sign up for the experimental Project Iron Man, which is basically a last resort of the militaries. A project that actually was already scrapped because they didn't have a pilot for the suit. They needed someone slim enough who would actually be willing to give up a normal life in order to take on the role of Iron Man, as the pilot would have his heart literally bonded and fully connected with the suit's giant chest plate without any way to safely disconnect it. And this isn't like when Tony Stark had that small thing in his chest. This is like, it's huge. In a way, the suit actually becomes part of Steve Rogers. Fortunately, Steve, being the patriotic man that he is, he agrees, and he is transformed into the giant, indestructible World War II version of Iron Man, even choosing to sacrifice more pain meds and sedation to help the surgeons complete his operation quicker, while making it exceedingly painful for him though. Ouch. I would not want to have heart surgery without sedatives. I've had a small amount of things done to my heart, and it is not fun, let me tell you, when you are even remotely awake. Number 3, Red Skull. Okay, so in the Old Man Logan universe, Cap is admittedly nowhere to be found, as he is kinda long dead. However, his old foe, Johann Schmidt, lives on and proclaims himself president. And it's through the Red Skull of Earth 807128, belonging to Old Man Logan, that we get to imagine another disturbing alternate version for the Captain America mantle. You see, while Red Skull doesn't really call himself Captain America or anything, he does like to walk around in his sworn enemy's blood-stained uniform and collecting trophies belonging to dead superheroes. Pretty serial killer-esque and creepy, if you ask me. Number 2, Hydra Supreme. One of the most shocking versions of Cap out there, this version was created when the Captain America of Earth 616 was altered using the Cosmic Cube to become the best version of himself, as well as to be loyal to Hydra. This created an alternate timeline where Captain America became a Hydra sleeper agent on the alternate Earth of 61311. In this reality, Steve would be placed in Hydra's care when he was just a child, after he found himself orphaned, although he would for a long time rebel and reject Hydra's attempts to indoctrinate him with their beliefs. Eventually, however, he was won over, with Zemo becoming his best friend within Hydra. During World War II, he was sent back to the United States as an undercover spy and assassin for Hydra. He would remain there undercover, feeding Hydra information and still working for them without anyone suspecting anything, until he revealed his true allegiance with Hydra in the modern day, after they had taken over the state, with Cap ruling as the new leader and new Hydra Supreme. Number 1, Zombie Cap. This version of Cap comes to us from the Marvel Zombies reality of Earth 2149. Instead of being known as Captain America in this reality, he was actually known as Colonel America. Colonel America finds himself turned into a zombie in the initial fight against the Sentry. From there, his story gets pretty crazy. It is the zombieverse after all. He is the one responsible for infecting Spider-Man, Peter Parker, with the virus. He also helps to take down Magneto, the Silver Surfer, and Galactus. and he is one of the zombies who ends up receiving the power cosmic. He does end up defeated, however, by the horrific zombified Red Skull, who scoops out his brains. But with his brains not being consumed, as he was also undead, and the undead apparently taste terrible to zombies, he would later end up having his brains implanted in the body of Black Panther's deceased son in the future, T'Challa. Yeah, Marvel Zombies is weird. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who are some of your favorite alternate versions of Captain America? Which one do you think is the scariest? Do you prefer darker, more horrific explorations of the world of Marvel when it comes to alternates and the characters? Or are you more a fan of the main continuity? Or do you like something even more funny or even more bubbly? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Scary Alternate Captain America Suits. That 80s guy, 1972, comments, "It was the final version of Cap that was scary, the Venom one. The Apocalypse one is only second because it was not really Cap, just him taking his place. In this video, Amanda, I feel like we are sharing a sleepover. Not an insult, it's nostalgia. Was that intentional?" Well, I filmed that video on May the 4th, so I was in Star Wars mode myself. I do not have enough hair for Leia's bun, so instead I did two little top buns on the top of my head. And also, apparently only one person noticed that I was wearing a Star Wars sweater as well. And yeah, due to these wild times, I'm also filming from home, which might be why you got those feels. Robert Wilmot asks, "Amanda, were you about to do some Sailor Moon cosplay? P.S. Smaller curl on the left side is suggested as it's a little obvious, but still love it. The video and all you at Top 10 Nerd." Thank you for the love and for commenting. No, Sailor Moon cosplays for me, unfortunately, on that day, although I do own a pretty cute Sailor Mars cosplay myself. I just had some low-key Star Wars Day celebrations going on. Wanted to dress up even though I was at home. And yes, I part my hair. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I part my hair sort of on one side, so I always have more hair on one side than the other, which is why when I do buns, one looks smaller. I try to make them balanced, but it never works. And that is all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and your feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube.